evening. Welcome to the 12th lecture of the online lecture series on language, literature, and cultural studies organized by the English Language Teachers Interaction Forum, ELTIF. Mr. Wilson, who is the secretary of ELTIF, will brief you about the programs of ELTIF.
English Language Teachers Interaction Forum, ELTIF, is a dynamic, proactive, and creative forum for the empowerment of English education. As a voluntary organization, the socially committed activists of ELTIF have been relentlessly working in the field of English language teaching and learning of the country, especially in rural and backward areas. ELTIF has successfully conducted more than 500 programs so far for the teaching and learning community. Through these programs, ELTIF has been trying its best to cater the individual professional developmental needs of language teachers and the academic needs of language learners, and at the same time, the language needs of the common public. Some of the activities were communicative English courses for learners and continuous professional development programs for teachers. And some other programs include social activities like English awareness for parents, rural women, Kudumbashree workers, and other semi-skilled laborers. Also, there were support programs for tribal children in the form of celebration of Village English Festival. The Phoenix program conducted for the inmates of the Central Prison at Kannur was a very different experience by all means. ELTIF has a vision, very specific and significant. India lives in her villages. ELTIF lives in and work for villages. Every year, in association with universities, higher educational institutions, we take up the responsibility of organizing an annual academic platform, national seminar and workshop that we have been publishing a professional quarterly journal of ELTIF, which is exclusively devoted to teaching and learning of English. When the pandemic COVID-19 broke out, when face-to-face teaching were banned inside and outside of the classroom and everywhere, we could not remain idle. Soon, ELTIF shifted online mode by arranging eminent talks of great ELT personalities. And today's talk is the 12th of its kind. Here I want to mention a name, the name of our president, Dr. Bhaskaran Nair, who lead us all together with his enlightening and inspiring mind, with a wide vision and deep dedication. On behalf of ELTIF, I would like to welcome and invite you too to join with us in our efforts to empower the rural learners. As you see on our website, you need not be a teacher or a researcher to be part of ELTIF. Any user or lover of English is welcome.
Today's speaker is Professor Anand Mahanand. He'll be delivering a lecture entitled Connecting Content, Exploring Parallel Text in the Language Classroom. Dr. Karthika, a faculty of NIT Trichy, and introduce today's speaker.
Good evening, and I take immense pleasure in introducing my dear teacher, Professor Anand Mahanand, to you all today. Dr. Anand Mahanand is professor and head of the Department of Materials Development, Testing and Evaluation at English in Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad. His research interest firmly situates in the areas of literature and language interface, English for specific purposes, materials development, and folk and tribal literature. He has guided several scholars in these areas, and he has published extensively in journals of national and international repute. English through folk tales, literature for language skills, English for academic and professional skills, and tribal literature in India are a few books that he has written that demand special mention here. He has developed learning materials for EFL University, IGNOU, and B.R. Ambedkar Open University. He has won the Bharat Jyoti Puraskar of 2017 from the New Delhi-based Best Citizen Publishing House. a multilingual writer who writes in Odia and English very often. He has translated 2 collections of short stories and 2 collections of folk tales. His other translations include the works of Pratibha Rai and Ruskin Bond. He is the executive editor of Lok Ratna, an international online journal devoted to scholarship in folklore, literature, language, and pedagogy. I must also mention here that the British Council has proudly acclaimed him as one of the ELT heroes from India, along with a few of the eminent professors who have already addressed us here on our ELT online series platform. His greatness does not only rest in him being a true scholar, a guide, and an administrator, but it extends to the honesty, kindness, and empathy that he brings into his teaching in being a teacher researcher who is always accessible to the needy ones, and most importantly, in being the scholar whose wisdom does not scare others away. It's a pleasure to get an opportunity to listen to you again, sir. The platform is all yours. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's a big honor. I'm privileged to be a part of this forum. I feel at home because I know many of you, the dedicated members of the forum, and you have been doing human service to the teachers of English. Today, I'll make my contribution by giving this talk, and I am honored. I thank Professor Bhaskaran Nayan. I know him for a long time, and I have been also reading and writing for the journal, LTIP journal, and it's a real pleasure to be associated with the forum and the journal and all of you. Thank you for this opportunity. The title of my presentation is Connecting Contents, Exploring Parallel Text in the Language Classroom. So this is the outline. We'll be discussing these aspects, and I would request you to participate during the presentation. So we shall discuss the concept. We'll know more about the concept, parallel text, and so on. Why parallel text? What are the advantages of using parallel text? We'll discuss some theoretical inputs on using parallel text. Then we'll also talk about different ways of using parallel text. Then after that, I will be sharing with you a study I have undertaken among MS students in using parallel text. And lastly, we'll be discussing how parallel text can be used in the classroom. So let us discuss the title first. I call it Connecting Contents. Connecting contents has 2 aspects. One is that contents are connected, or the act of connecting contents, means how we can connect different text or relate different text. That means show a relationship between 2 texts. That is the act of connecting. And another aspect will be that contents are connecting. They are relating to each other. So contents are waiting, or text are waiting for each other to be related, or we should show the relationship between different texts. So they are waiting to be connected or related, means they have a lot of potentials to be connected, to be related, and we should explore those potentials. So these are the 2 aspects of the title. So what is a parallel text? A parallel text is a text that is placed alongside its translation. For example, we have a poem in Malayalam called Hiroshima Uday Urma, written by the great poet K. Sachidanandan, and it has been translated into English as Hiroshima Remembered. So these two are parallel texts. Or let us say T.S. Eliot's poem The Wasteland, and that has been translated as Poda Bhui, and it is available in Odia and in also Telugu. So these Wasteland and Poda Bhui, they are parallel texts. So source text and the translated text, they can be called as parallel text. The text in the same language but on the same theme. In this case, these two texts are in different languages. One is in English, another is in Odia, one is in Malayalam, another one is in English. But two texts can be in the same language with identical theme. For example, Lord of the Flies, William Golding's Lord of the Flies, and Treasure Island, R.L. Stevenson's Treasure Island. These two are parallel texts. Or William Blake's poem London and Samuel Johnson's poem London, they can be also called parallel texts. They are in the same language, they are in English, but they are on the same topic, but written in different ways. And that is the potential, that is the issue we should explore. Then we have Daniel Appice's poem Blue Bells, response to Walter Delamere's Echo. So this poet writes in response to Walter Delamere's poem Echo. The text, then text in two languages with identical themes. This is an extraordinary case. In all of us know Rabindranath Tagore's Kabuliwala, very famous story, very popular story. So Tagore's Kabuliwala is a famous story, and it is an enduring story. It shows the relationship between a small girl child and a vendor from Kabul or from Afghanistan. So it is in Bangla, and it has been translated into English, but the same theme has been used by another writer in Odia. It is not a translation, but this story is identical. Both the stories are the same. They have the same theme. They are written in a different manner, but they are based on the same theme. So this is another situation, another example. Okay. So this is an example of Tagore's poem. I was telling you about the translation. Tagore's poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, has been translated several times. The text Gitanjali has been translated 72 times in Telugu. There are 72 versions of Gitanjali available in Telugu. My friend tells me that there are 72 versions of Gitanjali in Telugu itself. Yeah, so it is worth comparing these two versions. Here, look at this poem. We have the Bangla version, and here we have the English version of the poem, where the mind is without fear. This is a translation done by Niladri Roy. And it has some 14 lines, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 lines. Okay, we'll look at Tagore's own translation of this poem. This is the Bangla version, and this is the English version, and it has nearly 17 lines. And if you compare even the English translations of this poem, you'll find a lot of changes, a lot of difference. Let us take a look. But here, this is Niladri Roy's translation, and this is Tagore's own translation. So, I think all of you will agree that Tagore's own translation is simpler. Here, we can see certain words that are unfamiliar or archaic and different, whereas these words are simpler, and we are familiar with this. So even the translated versions have differences. So they are waiting for us to analyze them. Okay. So that was an example. And let us look at these two poems. When You Are Old by W.B. Yeats. When you are old and grey and full of sleep, and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of the soft look, your eyes at once and their shadows deep. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with love false or true. But one man loved one pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face, and blending down beside the glowing bars, murmur a little sadly how love fled, and paced upon mountains overheard, and hid his face amid a crowd of stars. Another poem on old age and death by Alan Melly. It says, when I am old and grey and full of death, caress me still, and with your breath assure me that I live. Despite all proof of imminent collapse, contrive to bring relief through your belief in permanence of a kind, perhaps. When winter's light pales down, the dark and cold and void, let us be gay in living what we can't avoid. Let death be sure we will not let him message down his throat. So this is another example of a parallel text. We can see the difference, we can note the difference, use of words or vocabulary in terms of use of images and figurative words, tone, a lot of things. Okay, so these were a few examples. I think we are clear about parallel text. Now, what are the things to be explored in a in parallel text? We can talk about the theme. What is the theme of the two poems? In what way the two poems are similar or different? We can ask students to find out uh, vocabulary. Are there identical words? Any synonyms? Any word belonging to the same lexical family? Then structure. Are there any resemblance in grammatical patterns or forms, tense, use of imperative, rhetorical questions, and so on? Then form. Do the poems have the same number of lines? Do these poems have the same rhythm? Do the poems have identical message? Then about persona. Who is speaking and to who? So learners will be able to notice all these aspects by comparing. So there are many other aspects also that could be explored. Some more questions. Which poem, according to you, is more expressive? Which poem do you like best? All right. Or according to you, which poem is better? Which one reads better? Which poem sounds better in terms of rhyme and rhythm? Which words impress you? What are the words that are very striking? What genre of poetry each one belongs to? Sonnet or lyrical poet or elegy or what kind of genre? Then what kind of emotions the poems evoke in you? What kind of linguistics devices are used by the poets? So all these aspects could be explored in the poems. So now we shall discuss something on the types of parallel text, different types of parallel text. One is the source and translated text. For example, Tagore's Gitanjali in Bengali and in English, or Eliot's The Westland and in English, and Oda Bhui in Odia. Theme-based parallel text. There could be theme-based text in the same language. Two texts on identical theme. An example of this could be The Coral Island and The Treasure Island. Then intergeneric parallel text. When a novel is transformed from its original genre and made into another genre, that is film. When a novel is made into a film, that is called intergeneric parallel text. And many novels have been made into films. For example, the Huckleberry Finn, The Scarlet Letter, then R.K. Narayan's The Guide, R.K. Narayan's The Guide, then Samskara, Anantamurthy Samskara, that is also made into a film. So those are examples of intergeneric parallel text. Then created parallel text. When a text is abridged or simplified or rewritten in another form. For example, a teacher dramatizes an essay to teach it to the students as the essay is linguistically complex. So a teacher finds an essay and she wants to transform it into a play or a poem so that learners can read them easily or take interest in reading. So that is created parallel text. So these four kinds of parallel text I could think of. These are my divisions, my types. So why use parallel text? Why should we use parallel text, and what are the advantages of using parallel text? One advantage is familiarity of the theme. Learners are familiar with theme of a text. Most of our learners come from uh, L1 background, regional medium language background. They are strong in their first language or state language, a mother tongue. These are, I'm using them interchangeably. Of course, there are differences, but so they are strong in their mother tongue of the state language. Uh, in Malayalam, in Odia, in Telugu, Bangla, uh, and they are familiar with certain poems, certain stories in their mother tongue. So if that is translated into English or presented to them in another version, in English version of that particular text is presented to them, they will feel happy because they know about the text. They already know about the text. They have read it in Malayalam. They have read it in Tamil or Odia. So they will not be nervous or it will not be boring for them to read the same text with the same theme with another language in L2. So familiarity of theme will ease them. Drawing learners' attention. So by using two versions of a text, we are asking learners to notice certain elements, notice certain aspects in a poem or in a story. And this is called noticing by Richard Smith. He calls it noticing. So we allow them or encourage them to notice certain elements, certain issues, certain linguistic features available in both the versions. So L1 text as reference material. When a learner with regional media background has a text in L1 and he or she is reading the same text in L2, if he or she comes across any difficulties, he can refer to the text in L1, text that is available in Odia or Malayalam. So it becomes a reference material. And by going back to the text in L1, he will be able to understand it. It will serve as a dictionary, as a reference material for the child, because the child can relate a lot of things, relate to his or her world, and by looking at that text in the first language, he or she can understand a concept or a difficult word. Then because of this, it will also be helpful for self-reading. So the child need not ask a teacher or anybody, but he or she can consult the L1 version of the text and know things, learn things. So it's good for self-reading. More difficult text can be introduced to the learners, which is termed by Krashen as compelling texts. So by introducing parallel text, we can introduce somewhat difficult text to the learners. Even if the text is a bit difficult, if we provide support in L1, the learner can learn easily with the support of the first language. So that way we can use a slightly difficult text or compelling text before the learners. So using parallel text is beneficial for ESL learners. In our context, in our Indian context, most of our learners are ESL learners, so and they know their first language or state language, so it will benefit them. They will learn both the languages, and with the help of their mother tongue, they can read text in English also. Then association of ideas. Our learners can associate ideas and concepts because they are familiar with certain concepts in their first language. They can associate that and understand a concept that is available in English. For example, a child, a high school student is learning a poem, and there is a stanza. There is a stanza of a poem. So the child already knows what stanza is in the first language. Let's say in Hindi it is called chand. Chand. So okay, this is chand. It has so many lines. This is part of a poem, and this is what is called stanza in English. So they can associate the previous knowledge to the idea that is available in L2. Then parallel text facilitates multiple reading. Alan Melly says that by introducing two texts, we are promoting multiple readings. Means they are reading a text from different perspectives for different things, to explore different aspects from different viewpoints, to explore different aspects. Multiple reading, same text they have read, but they are reading for another purpose. So each reading is different, and a text, when we read a text multiple times, we come across multiple meanings. Okay, each reading is different, each reading is new. So using parallel text facilitates from multiple readings. And convergence of genre. By using parallel text, we are bringing together different genres, different forms of art. We are bringing film, we are bringing fiction, we are bringing poems, plays, so many forms, so many genres are coming together. And it is very interesting for the learners when we bring them together. Then use of parallel text also promotes bilingual education. Bilingual education, it is a good idea to promote the child's first language as well as English. Otherwise, English will kill the child's first language. Some people, that for that reason they call it a killer language. Okay, so by using parallel text, we can promote both languages, English as well as English is also needed, and our own languages are also needed. Okay, so Here we'll just look at some theoretical inputs or insights given by different theorists for using L1 or the child first language and the use of parallel text. Use of L1 has been advocated by many theorists since 1950s. In 1980s, we have this prominent figure called Jim Cummins, and he says bilingual approach helps learners uphold their mother tongue. Just now I was talking about promoting our own language. This will facilitate to upload the child's mother tongue. Carlos Ovando says students benefit from multiple languages and cultures. If they are exposed to different languages and different cultures, they will develop their cognitive skill, and there'll be many other advantages for the learners. Dee Conhinstein, in her article, Reading in Two Languages, finds that learners take help of their L1 in reading L2. And when they take help, they become better readers, they become efficient readers. And she also finds out that learners who have a positive attitude towards their own language, they become better readers. So there is no dispute that we should use parallel text. It is a big advantage if we use bilingual education. Then some views on use of parallel text. Coley and Slater, in their famous book, Literature in the Language Classroom, they talk about use of parallel text. A section, they have a section in this book. I have been teaching this course, Language Through Literature, for many years. So I came to know about this, and my idea started from there. I'll tell my experience of using parallel text later. So they say a book's themes can be examined closely through the medium of other sources. If we compare or relate a text to other sources, other text, then we are reading it closely. We're exploring its different dimensions. And they ask for it, they advocate this. In their position paper on English, Professor Amrita Valli and others also advocate the use of parallel text. They say ways need to be explored to read parallel text in their original languages and in English translations. So they say that we should be using more and more parallel text. In India, it is possible. We have so many publishing houses, and texts are available in different languages. For example, the National Book Trust of India, NBT, has many texts in Hindi and English, Malayalam and English, like that. Same. I could pick up a few texts from their store. For example, Premchand's stories. They are available in Hindi and English, so I could collect some of them. And a lot of texts are available on the internet nowadays. Alan Melly, who has written a big section on the use of parallel text in his book, The Inward Ear, Using Poetry in the Language Classroom. He says that parallel text have immense potential, the power of comparison. He recognizes the power of comparison as a great potential to read text. Yeah, so these are the theoretical supports we get for adopting bilingual education and also to use parallel text. Ways of using parallel text. There are different ways of using parallel text. There are so many ways, and using source and translated text for reading, writing, and so on. So in India, it is possible for us because we have source text and translated text. They are available and we should make use of them. These things are not happening in other countries, in the monolingual countries. Using full and abridged text, we have, for example, Dickens novels. They have full versions and also abridged versions, so they can be compared. What are the things they have shortened, and how does what is the difference we find in between the abridged version and the full version? That can be done. Then using two different genres on the same thing. For example, film and fiction. I was talking about R.K. Narayan's The Guide and the film Guide that is made in Hindi, where Wahida Rahman and Devanand have acted. And the filmmaker has made so many changes. When R.K. Narayan was asked about the film, he said, "That is not my story." So much changes you can see, he could find. That is not my story. I use some clips of the film in my class, Language Through Literature, and ask students to find out the difference. So we can use part of a text, a few pages from a novel, not the entire novel, clips from the film. So it is possible to use. Using response to a genre with some or another genre, for example, answering back or imitation or parody. So a lot of poets have written responding to earlier texts. So we can compare them and ask students to find the difference. Some poets have imitated poems written by earlier poets. Some have also parodied famous poems. I'll show one example of parody that is very interesting. And children would love to parody poems. The reflections on the titles. So there are two versions. The title of one version is this, and the title of another version is this. And ask students to study that, reflect on those titles. That's very interesting. Difference in terms of time and space. So a writer has written in the 19th century England, and another translator has translated that, and how, and that is set in India in 20th century. See the difference, how they are different. In Odia, for example, Alexander Selkirk, William Cooper's poem has been translated into Odia, and it is localized. The characters are Odia characters, and the setting is Odisha. So it's very interesting to see how the poet has changed the entire text and localized it. And there are so many aspects to explore. Tennyson's poem Enoch Arden, that has been translated by Nilakantha Das as Dasanayak. So here it is, he has localized it, localized the setting, the characters, and the plot so much. You cannot make out that this happened in England. Okay, so interesting aspects could be explored there. Then reading each text in groups. So we assign one group to discuss on a source text and another group to discuss on the translated text and ask them to share their ideas. What do they find? What do they explore there? These are some of the ways. Then parodying a famous poem, for example, William Blake's poem, Tiger, Tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand high could frame thy fearful symmetry. The child has parodied it, and children love to parody poems. Okay, text. So they will be happy to write such poem. Now I would like to share a small experiment I did with my MS students in using parallel text. Every year I teach a course called Language Through Literature for the MS student. Coley and Slater's book I use, and I had got that idea from that section of the book using parallel text, and I thought of doing a small project, started collecting materials, started talking to people and experts. So I could collect some text like from NBT store I could get. I spoke to Professor Alan Melly. Uh, he has done a lot of work. So luckily I was in touch with him. So I shared my idea. Uh, he told me to go ahead, and he said that because you are a multilingual country and a lot of translations are happening, you explore that, and that is I could also realize that that is the strength we have, and that's a beautiful thing to share among students. And so I collected text. uh, I got some text from NBT, then from some friends I got some text from a friend from Telugu background. Then I asked a few colleagues, uh, and they were ready to give the Malayalam versions of this. And one student worked on the Malayalam and English version, and I gave them assignments. How I did, I'll explain that fully. Uh, 10 students were part of the study called Language Through Literature during this January-April 2020, and I conducted a pre-test to test their skills in literary appreciation and writing skills. When I looked at their scripts of the pre-test, uh, they had some drawbacks. I mean, they were not able to write critical appreciation. They were not able to explore all aspects of a poem. Then I taught them over the period of time, one semester, 4 months, and that was the intervention. They were taught different aspects of literary appreciation relating to the text, to the context, finding the author's location, the historical context in which the text was written, analyzing title, theme, tone, and mode of narration, reflection on the literary devices such as metaphors, simile, images, allusions, alliteration, personification, etc. And also, I help them to analyze the linguistic features such as lexical elements and syntactical patterns. So they were exposed to all these things, and also some aspects of academic writing, how to organize a text, how to link, how to use coherence, um, and all those aspects. And I could use some useful text to help them. For example, HLB Modi's literary appreciation, then Satyaraman's and Satyaraman Indra and Sriraman's practical criticism, and Gurin Mittal's Handbook of Critical Approaches to Literature. These books were very helpful. I used them, and for academic writing, I used Ilona Lecky's academic writing and my own text and materials. And students were given small assignments. I could observe their classes, talk to them, and collect their data. And finally, a post-test was taken, and the scores were compared. Results showed improvement. They could do well in the final exam. So now we have 3 activities, and I would request all of you to participate. What difference you see in these 2 poems? Please go through these poems and give your comments. Find out the difference. One Perfect Rose by Dorothy Parker and Flowers by Wendy Coe.
Sir, Kartika here.
Yes.
There is one response in the chat box. I'll read it out for you. So it's a subjective and objective forms figure of speeches. Figures of speech. This is what is being written there. Subjective and objective forms figures of speech.
Which poem you like? Which one is better? Which one is appealing?
If you ask me that question, I like the second one because it's about not fulfilling something. The other one is all about a little more romantic kind of approach to it.
Okay, good. That's a good observation. We'll take one more response and move to the next activity. Which one is critical?
The second one, sir.
Second one, okay.
Flowers.
Yes. Yes, thank you. We shall go to the next activity. Write a parallel poem to the following: The Blessed Damozel by Dante Gabriel Rossetti. This poem has been written in response to Edgar Allan Poe's poem Ravan. There, the departed soul comes to meet her lover. Here, the lover goes to meet the beloved. Just scribble down a poem in response to this, and we'll be happy to listen to your poem. I would request many participants to do that, to take part. Please write a poem responding to this poem.
A person, Ms. Azran Azmi, has written, 2 blunt eyes were peeped out of the window from the duplex to the lush greenery beside the fence. And then it continues. And Ms. Abhinaya has written, with 3 lilies in hand, a lady love awaits. And then I managed to write a little more. From her heavenly abode, leaned and looked down the lady of bliss. Her deep eyes were like the unfathomed ocean. The 3 white lilies that she held, and the sparkling 7 stars. The 3 white lilies that she held, and the sparkling 7 stars that adorn her hair. And it continues. One more response has come. That's a continuation of the first one by Azran Azmi. 2 blunt eyes peep out of the window from the duplex of lush greenery beside the fence. The oscillation in hope and despair was poignant in her gaze, and the thrust of freedom was clear. The roses in her bun was pale. Yeah, that's it, sir.
And you have written so well. Lovely poems. So very good responses. So we shall go to the next activity. That is very simple. Of course, writing a poem is difficult, but you could do it. This one is not about writing a poem, but you choose a short poem from your mother tongue and translate that into English. One stanza, just one stanza. We would like to listen to it. Uh, I'll also get one from my language. Just the poem you have read in the past, you have in your school or as a child, just recite that and translate that into English. Kartika, you have any poem?
This was so quick, sir. So I have just got one thing, and I'm just trying to translate that. It's one thing that I heard from my childhood when I was a student of I studied in a Malayalam medium school, so we had difficulty in learning this thing. So this is one thing that I learned by heart. So that is the only poem that I can suddenly recollect. That's I don't know who wrote it, but it's like this. In the heart of a seed buried deep, so deep, a dear little plant lay fast asleep. Wakes at the sunshine and creep to the light. Wakes at the voice of the raindrops bright. So at this time, my father came to take me off the class. So I don't know the rest of the poem. Only these lines I know. So I just translated it. Only two lines, sir. I translated it as in the heart of a seed buried deep, so deep, a dear little plant lay fast asleep. വിത്തിനുള്ള അറയ്ക്കുള്ളിൽ ആഴത്തിലായി വാണിതോമൽ ചെറുചെടി നിദ്രയിൽ. Only that much I could do. I just started with the other thing, but I think I don't have time, sir.
Nice rhyme. You could written the rhythm and rhyme of the original poem. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's a sign of a good material developer. Yes. Very good. Anybody else?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
I'm telling a poem in Tamil.
Yes, sir.
எழுதி எழுதி மேற்செல்லும் எழுதி செல்லும் விதியின் கை அழுது அழுது புரண்டாலும் அதில் ஒரு எழுத்தை அழித்திடுமோ. The moving finger writes and having writ moves on and nothing can be stopped the destiny by any means.
Beautiful. Beautiful, sir.
I'm Mohan Sundar.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
Nice poem.
Oh, sir, I think I have done it the other way around. I took it from English and translated to Malayalam. Sorry. I didn't really realize when sir was reading out the Tamil poem, I realized that. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. So now questions. If you have any questions, please ask, or if you...
Yeah, thank you so much. Good evening, sir. It's about the task 3. I have chosen one small poem by Syed Samsul Haq in mother tongue, and the name of the poem is My Identity, where it was talking about the land, language, undivided India, and all. So I haven't translated yet, but it is one of my list of where I have a chance to translate.
Ajran, you remember any Bangla rhyme that you read as a child? Just recite that.
Rhyme. Yeah, my daughter, who is now learning Bangla, like that. Ata gache tota pakhi, dalim gache mo, eto daki tobu kotha, bole koina kotha bo. Sorry. আতা গাছে তোতা পাখি ডালিম গাছে মৌ এত ডাকি তবু কথা কয় না কেন বউ. That means there is a parrot in a sitafal or apple custard tree, which is used to cooing every morning the child used to call the bird every morning, but still it is not responding to the child. And at the same time, it's a rural setting, so the newly wedded bride is also not responding like that bird. So this was the theme, but it is a rhymed.
Very
more
good. This
than
sounds nice. Very sweet.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Somebody had a doubt whether different genres can be used. So that person has asked, film and fiction can be used for the same theme. Can we use film and fiction to explain or to teach the same theme?
Yes, we can use film and fiction to explain the same theme, and because there will be different ways of saying the same thing. So if both are combined, that is better. Learners will take a lot of interest. Students usually like to watch film and reflect on them instead of reading a book. So both should be combined. If both are done, then they will take interest.
Thank you, sir. One more question. Are there plenty of parallel texts available that can be used at different levels or classes? Is it very difficult to collect them?
It will not be very difficult for the young learners. We can use NBT and other sources. Nowadays on the website also there are text available, and lot of novel for the tertiary level learners. There are text available. It is not that difficult. It is possible. It is possible. Not very difficult. It is possible. And we are not collecting a library as well, but a few things we can start with, and with those things we can initiate.
So can we use movie subtitles as parallel text? Movie subtitles,
Yes,
movie
yes.
or videos. So in parallel with the audio in the movie, in the movie we have audio, and in the subtitle we have text. Can we consider it as parallel text?
Thank you. You gave a new dimension. We never thought about it. Yeah, it is possible. We can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Subtitle and the dialogue or action. Okay. So that is also a text. These are two different texts. It is possible. Good that you thought about it.
Well, thank you, sir, for joining us. I request Ms. Bhagyalakshmi, faculty of Bharatidas College for Women, Puducherry, thank our speaker and the participants.
A very warm good evening to one and all. We have successfully come to the end of the 12th lecture organized by ELTIF as a part of its lecture series. It is indeed a privilege and pleasure for me to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of ELTIF. Today, we were very fortunate to have Professor Anand Mahanand, Professor English and Foreign Languages, University, Hyderabad with us. I would like to extend our deepest sense of gratitude on behalf of ELTIF to Professor Anand Mahanand for such an interesting lecture on the topic connecting contents, exploring parallel text in the language classroom. His lecture that focused on the use of parallel text, theorizing parallel text and its uses, ways of using parallel text by using examples, how he has implemented it in the classroom, and the activities he used was really enlightening. Thank you very much, sir, for providing us with the use of parallel text in the language classroom, which is really helpful for you. The leadership and dedication of Professor Bhaskaran Nair is the driving force behind this organization. His indomitable spirit and his constant support and guidance always inspire us. I would like to thank him for his constant support and encouragement. Dr. C. Praveen is the coordinator of the online lecture series. His ideal ways of organizing by paying attention to even minute details is commendable, sir. Thank you, sir, for coordinating this lecture series and supporting us. I would also like to thank the committee members, Dr. A.C. Srihari, Dr. Karthika V.K., Mr. P. Mohanan, Mr. Valsan Panoli, Dr. A.K. Leena, Mrs. Vinija, Dr. Sajida Sultana, Ms. Lakshmi Suresh for working together to make the program successful. And last but not least, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the participants for your active listening, participation, and interaction. We expect your cooperation in the future endeavors. And once again, I would like to thank you all for the successful conduct of the program.
Thank you, sir. We are ending this meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.